hopefully one day I would able to actually teach some of the, the karate moves as soon as I'm able to move into the next destination right there. Oh, wait a minute, I'm already there, am I? Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Duffy Duck here once again, and I'm back for some more of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360/PlayStation 3. So last time we actually did tackle through a nighttime stage in the forms of Rooftop Run in Spagonia, despite the fact that I've accidentally died on that particular level for that particular inside clock tower section. That's only because of how the fact that the actual the thing itself constantly is scrolling for the entire time, and once you die at the very bottom of it, then obviously you automatically die. So, yeah, that was totally my fault for that little, just making itself a little bit too hasty and stuff like that. So, yeah, today for this episode, folks, is the fact that we're going to be moving on into the next destination of the game by the forms of Chunan. As we expected, Chunan is basically based off from China, and that was actually a really, really weird camera angle right there. I must have admit that right away. So anyways, oh yeah, I totally forgot about this actually, is the fact that also he did beat the likes out of these little dark Gaia creatures ever since during the likes of thanks to Chip managed to able to use himself his camera, or in this case uncanny camera if I should say for this much. And that way we can able to actually not to let any of the townspeople get brainwashed again, which even then though, that'll be something worth mentioning if for those of you who want to become a achievement hunter, or in this case a trophy whore, or if anything else for that relatable. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and just shift over to Sonic the Hedgehog, so that way we can able to get ourselves the remainings of the moon medals, which even I know that, as you can tell, I've got myself level 4 of the actual premise of the forms of the sun medal still, and there's the second and final moon medal that we've got. So, anyways, the entire impression of this particular hub worlds we need to do right here is the fact that normally you can able to actually enter here, but it's been blocked off due to how this particular guy is blocking off. But however though, we need to able to talk to this particular old woman right there, and that way we can able to actually get a suggestion of how to able to actually get into the secondary hub. So, not that complicated, not that hard to get to either. It's just basically we need to basically just chat to her first before you're able to actually get into the secondary hub world. Means stage select. So yeah, that's as far as I can say for this much. So after when you finish talking to her, means that you're gonna have to basically, actually I might as well change to nighttime and when we get into the secondary hub, because I might as well save that for later. So yeah, this guy is blocking off the actual premise of that particular secondary hub, unless again if I talk to the old woman right there, which I have to admit though right away that I don't know exactly what her name is. But even I know that's as far as we can tell for that part. And then once you've done with that, then we can now jump into the secondary hub. In this case, for that matter, it'll be a perfect timing to deal with. Well, we're not going to do a daytime stage just yet until when we get to the future points of this particular version of the game, because we need to shift over to the Werehog now. So that way we can able to actually deal with, I'm assuming we need to deal with the nighttime level, which even then, according to what Professor Pickles said, that's the only entire thing we need to do next. So obviously we need to actually enter towards over there, so that way we can able to actually get things started by the forms of the nighttime level. So that's pretty much as far as you might as well think about it. So anyway, oh yeah, if you mash the the B button or the circle button, if you ever play this on the PlayStation 3 version, normally you can actually grab onto this pole over there, and if you mash it well enough, then you would able to actually go from one place to another, which even I know, that's the entire impression of this particular level's gimmick once we actually get into the actual Chunan level, until when we get to the early points throughout. But anyways though, so let's get started by the forms of, I don't think there's any medals around here besides there are only still 2 sun medals and 2 moon medals, which I'm probably not going to get those because of how the fact that I'm going to be jumping into the next nighttime level. So here we go with Dragon Road Act 1 in the nighttime level. And the requirements of the forms of this level we need to get up to is level 3. So basically we still got enough moon medals until Halaska, because even then when it gets to Halaska, well, we need to get ourselves level 4 of the moon medals count. So even though, right from the bat though, We got ourselves the first sun medal right from the start. This is very easy to miss that particular sun medal for those of you who have a first time playing this particular version of the game. At least both the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3 version, mind you. Oh, speaking of which, today was actually forms of the 19th of April 2018, as you probably expected, and this is actually first day today. And speaking of which, I actually got myself not one, but two last versions of the forms of Sonic Unleashed, which are, well, you know I've mentioned this before, that we've got ourselves the Wii version and the Xbox 360 version. Well, it turns out I can't help it for myself to actually think that I was acting like Sonic Toast, some sort of like a YouTube channel that usually also is a huge fan of Sonic stuff. And even expecting so, because he also did manage to go after all of these versions of every single Sonic games at this point. So even then, I thought to myself, well, at least I enjoy the both the Wii and the Xbox 360 version, despite it takes a while to get used to once you're able to actually, when you're still used to with, you know, Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations, and even Sonic Forces, despite the fact in Sonic Forces, the momentum itself can get pretty stiff at times. Oh yeah, by the way, we got ourselves our next sun medal right there. By doing so is the fact that we need to able to actually break for that alcove of that particular stones before we proceed. Something's worth mentioning, but hey. So anyways though, let's go ahead and just continue, and if we go over there, we get ourselves, oh boy, another sun medal. Seriously, we can get as many of these sun medals as soon as we possibly can. Well, it wasn't until when we get to close towards the end of the game though, until when we get to that point. So anyways, we got ourselves both the PlayStation 2 version and the PlayStation 3 version. The PlayStation 3 version is probably because of the trophy support that I've always so used to, and also 60 frames per second during the actual gameplay. I don't think the cutscenes were rendered 60 frames on that things or what have you, but even that's as far as I can tell. But on the other hand though, unlike how it does in the PlayStation 2 version, well, not exactly unlike the PlayStation 2 version, but it's most accurately PlayStation 2 version most likely for that as well, so just in case, if I can get some of my second chances on that version. I know it basically plays exactly like the Wii version, except the visuals do look a bit downgraded compared to the Wii version in my opinion. But that's only because, oh, we got another sun medal right there. Anyways though, so let's go ahead and, let's just go ahead and continue. So hopefully we can able to actually get ourselves even more medals along the way, expecting Sun and Moon medals eventually, and while doing so, then yeah. So yeah, that's the only two versions I've ever gotten from my particular points notice. So, another thing I'd like to discuss for this point, folks. Oh yeah, if you manage to come towards this particular area right there, excluding the likes of Tomorrow Night, which we'll get to that in a moment, basically we actually come across into this particular section with endless amount of enemies. So even I know that expecting you can get yourselves a experience points heavy, so that way you can able to easily level up your, not only your Werehog, but also Sonic the Hedgehog as well. So even though that's a pretty good way to able to level up your characters and all that stuff, well, expecting Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Werehog, quote unquote. But even though that's as far as I can tell with this particular points notice with when it comes to level grinding, even though that's a pretty good way to level up, so. Speaking of which, we're going to have to go get those experience points over there. Oh boy, we got ourselves these particular wasp-looking enemies. Even I know that since we've already come across into these guys in the forms of how the fact that, well, in comparison to how it does in the PlayStation 2 and Nintendo Wii version, that these guys are pretty much a pain in the bum to deal with on that version because they always attempt to run away from you if you're about to eventually try to attack them. But in this version, I don't think these wasp-looking enemies all that much of a problem to me though, although the only time I have a huge problem with it is the fact that, well, it actually brings up the another variation of that particular wasp-looking, you know, sworn wasp type of enemies for that particular, you know, that hopefully that it will give us a lot of trouble with that. So anyways, let's go ahead and see what's in this particular area right there. We got ourselves a record first off, and if we go over there, there's a moon medal right there. We haven't got a singular moon medal on the forms of the nighttime level. I think it's probably because, you know, every single daytime stage always brings on us, you know, plenty of moon medals to able to find here because, you know, there are 7 of them. Oh, we have another sun medal right there. Okay, that's kind of convenience there. But even then, I should definitely take it, no problem for that little situation goes. Anyways, we got more enemies to deal with here. So, another thing I'd like to discuss upon for this point, folks, is that Life Master actually ordered not 1, but 3 items, much like how it does in Donkey Kong Land Trilogy in the forms of the original Game Boy, but this time in the forms of the Donkey Kong Country Trilogy on the Game Boy Advance. I would normally try to go for the Super Nintendo original cartridge-only versions of those games, but somehow I've already got all 3 of the main console version of the entirety of the entire trilogy on Donkey Kong Country on Nintendo Wii's Virtual Console at the moment. Actually, before we continue, I need to know what's in here though, but I'm pretty much sure. Oh, we have yet another sun medal. So that was about 6 sun medals so far, which even though still looks pretty good, even to this day. So hopefully we can able to guarantee with the metal grinding, expecting with continuous amount of exploration and all that stuff, it makes it not much more of a problematic, I don't feel like. So, but it can be a bit of a problematic sometimes if you're about to be going after every single one of them. So, I won't be bothered to getting that moon medal right there because it contains a bottomless pit, and sometimes the Werehog, well, nothing too much a problem with the Werehog platforming sections is that, well, it can be a little bit frustrating because of the view you gave them in some stages, like, sometimes you can't see where to jump next, and sometimes you're not sure where to jump on, just like how it does if you see my failure point of the very end of that particular rooftop run level in nighttime level because I couldn't see where to jump next because I was a little bit too hasty. And if you couldn't tell already, is that in this version in particular, Sonic the Werehog doesn't have his drop shadow, which makes it impossible until you determine where you're gonna land on, which even then though, that until we get to the very end of the game, expecting that the drop shadow can get pretty much a problematic, I feel like it. So anyways, we got ourselves these red variations of these wolf-looking enemies right there, and yeah, these guys are a little bit more of a pain compared to it does in the normal counterparts, but even then, as long as you're able to actually deal with that particular jump and an attack at the same time, then you would able to actually decide to kick his butt until that time. So anyways though, let's go ahead and see what's in these pots. So anyways, back to what I was saying. Oh yeah, before we get to this kind of stuff, in this particular section after the checkpoints, there's actually not 1, but 2 alternate routes you can take. For one route, you can either go to the higher route, completely skip the entire portions of the battle sequence entirely. Not only that, but you get yourselves a moon medal and a sun medal at the same time. So yeah, it's a pretty cool way to be able to get those 2 medals from the start. So even though I've already got 7 sun medals, which is kind of a cool thing, mind you. And let's go ahead and just jump off from that pole over there and ride onto the actual dragon platform. What is this? It's like Dragon Ball Z, like heaven or anything like that? Well, at least as far as I'm majorly concerned with that, or Supreme Kai or something like that? Maybe. Because obviously Dragon Ball Z was also based off, I would say Japanese or Chinese because of the martial arts tournaments or something like that. But naturally, as far as I'm aware, that's all I can talk about for that point. I keep on getting hit by these little chainsaws or saw blades. Sorry. And we go, so that's another moon medal right over there. So even then, now we've got ourselves 3 moon medals. I would normally try to go for a 4th one, but obviously the 4th one was actually the bottomless pit. So even then, I'm probably not going to go after that because it might be a little bit too risky for my liking. And plus, I refuse to able to lose my insanity of the forms of the S rank because I haven't got a single S rank since Missouri daytime level. Oh, no, not daytime level. The nighttime level, I should say. So anyways, though, we got ourselves this particular Titan monster again ever since during the likes of Rooftop Run in the nighttime level. But this time around, though, we got ourselves a whole lot of enemies to dish out from. So even then, though, that's as far as memories goes, that's all I can say about that particular section alone. In addition to that though, we also managed to bump into these new types of enemies like right here by the forms of the wizard type enemies. Sometimes they are able to revive any of the enemies, or sometimes they are trying to hurt you desperately, so even then it's something like a mixture of the two. So anyways though, let's go ahead and just you know, get even more experience points as a result from this kinds of tradition. And also at the same time beat the likes out of this little wizard enemies. And hopefully we can get ourselves unleashed mode from the start. And hopefully we can able to actually just beat the likes out of this particular titan. Actually, I might as well finish him off with the quick time events. B and X. What's next? Y again. Okay, the exact same sequence as I've already done that in the forms of Rooftop Run Night. So that's a pretty good way to able to actually understand for this little situations like that. And let's go ahead and dish out one more enemy left. And I'll need to know what exactly was over there though. But I'm guessing it might actually contains another emphasis on platforming heavy, but I'll probably not going to do that because it's way too risky if I might as well say so. And let's go ahead and just push the switch here, or pull the lever I should say. And we can open up the door, and there's a gold ring. But before I do that, I guess there might be a medal in here, which I can definitely see that right there. And hopefully I need to get ourselves a leaps of faith going on here, so let's just see if I can move the camera right there. I am not having the best luck of this run through at this point. Okay, so I seriously cannot believe how the fact that my jump button doesn't feel responsive or what have you sometimes, even though I did manage to press the A button in time. But the thing is that this game doesn't register my jump button correctly, which even then though, that might be sounds illogical for some of you all, but I just cannot believe how the fact that that's the, definitely is the most difficult part about this game sometimes for me though, is the fact that sometimes if I want to jump up, but then the game tells me that I haven't jumped up properly. So there we go, we got ourselves the 4th moon medal, and in addition to that, the 8th sun medal. So we've already got 2 more left of the each medals simultaneously, which are both the moon and the sun medals, so I think I might get ourselves a pretty bad rank. Oh, no, we got ourselves an A rank instead. Okay, might as well take it then, huh? I think it's probably because I actually did manage to finish that particular Titan boss again, by the forms of the devastating move. So there we go, that concludes Chunon Night, even though the ending part does a little bit screwy over for me again, ever since doing the likes of, you know, Rooftop Run nighttime level, but at least we can able to actually cope with this, I suppose. And let's go ahead and level up combat into level 8, and, strength in twice a little bit, and we can hopefully guaranteed that we can able to leave the level. And of course, just like how it does in the Egg Beetle boss fight, the Werehog section in the forms of Chunon is not done yet, because, as you expected, we actually come across into a next boss in this game. So I wonder who that could be. Well, after this loading screen is done, of course. Alright, here we go folks, this is the forms of Dark Gaia Phoenix. And basically all you have to do in this particular fight is pretty simple. We need to deliver the water jars all the way to the Dark Gaia Phoenix. And if you do that, then it will actually just make him weaken up a bit. And then that way we can able to actually make our way to one of those 3 platforms, depends that he was actually reaching up on. And then, as soon as we're able to reach at the very top of the actual platforms, then we can beat the likes out of him in no time. So even then, after when you see that, the actual premise of this particular fight goes is the fact that whenever the boss gauge decreases, when it gets to the orange stripe or the orange line, this means you have to come across into a quick time event. So even then, though, that if you manage to press at the right button, then you would able to deal some damage. But if you press the wrong button, then you probably have to do the entire sequence again. Even for the actual premise of that particular Dark Gaia Phoenix, we're actually going to become burning hell again, which even then though, that would be a little bit more fire. Luckily though, the fire doesn't deal that much damage, I don't feel like, but even then though, that's as far as I can tell. But anyway, now for the first half, all you have to do is basically you have to chuck the water jar right at Dark Gaia Phoenix, no problem. But until when it gets to the second phase and the third and final phase, Now, unlike the likes of Nintendo Wii or the PlayStation 2 versions, that in the third and final phase, you have to throw the water jar right at the Dark Gaia Phoenix, or the water barrel, I should say, on that particular version, as opposed to how it does it in the Xbox 360 version or the PlayStation 3, because in these two versions, or the HD version, if I like to call it that, they're just water jars, and in the SD version, they're just simply for just water barrels themselves. So there we go, that concludes the second phase, and now we move on to the third and final phase, which, strangely enough, though, all we have to do is basically we need to chuck the water jars right at Dark Gaia Phoenix about 2 times, unlike 3 times on the Wii and the PlayStation 2 version, which sure is a little bit odd by the looks of all things for that particular hits points right there, but I digress. So anyways, as I was saying, by the forms of the Donkey Kong Country trilogy on the Game Boy Advance, the reason why I've managed to able to alter those 3 versions of, well, the Game Boy Advance versions of Donkey Kong Country trilogy is because, well, I've noticed there are some extra content in the Game Boy Advance version. Oh crap, I'm gonna get screwed. Yep, I'm gonna get hit a lot. Well, I don't really think that the actual attack range or the strength range when it comes to able to deal with that feather projectiles on Dark Gaia Phoenix is not that strong. But hey, at least my defense has gone really higher up, I think. But anywho. Anyway though, it's because of how the fact that the Game Boy Advance versions of Donkey Kong Country Trilogy does have the exclusive amount of content, like the scrapbook or the photo album for both Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2, except the third entry, because even then though, as far as I've noticed from the start though, is the fact that, I'm pretty sure Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3 managed to contain their own exclusive minigames, which even then though, I know there's one I was most likely familiar with, by the forms of Donkey Kong Country 3 on the Game Boy Advance does retain the minigame that has incredibly inspired the special stages in the forms of the recent Sonic games, most notably Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic 3D Flicky's Island, most notably on the Sega Saturn version, and also Sonic Heroes, Sonic Rush, Sonic Colors for the DS, Sonic Generations for the 3DS, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, and you name the rest. So anyways though, let's go ahead and get back up onto that platform, because that's what the Dark Gaia Phoenix is located. Luckily though, I should probably mention about this actually, is that luckily these medals, both Sun medals and Moon medals, are clearly in plain sight, so even though you can able to actually find these no problem. So even though they are literally with collectibles in the boss arenas, most notably in the Werehog levels or the Werehog boss battles. And the final part is basically we need to mash the A button 6 times, and there we go. That concludes Dark Gaia Phoenix. Eat that!
Strike 3, monster! That's enough out of you!
Alright, so let's see what rank we get. Another A rank, sweet. Even though it wasn't as perfect as I was hoping it would be by the forms of the S rank, but might as well take it, I suppose. And of course, much like how it does in the Egg Beetle, we got ourselves 2 experience points right, so even then know that we can able to level up speed for a little bit for Sonic the Hedgehog, because we'll get into that in the future points.
You alright?
Yes, thank you.
Whoa, huh?
Yeah, this cutscene does not appear on the Wii and the PlayStation 2 version, but only the Xbox 360 version and the PlayStation 3. So there we go, now we've actually restored the second Chaos Emerald. Oh yeah, I should probably mention about this actually, is that the first Chaos Emerald color that we've actually restored is actually in green, whilst the second Chaos Emerald was red, by the way. For those of you who haven't missed out the actual Let's Play of the Wii version of Sonic Unleashed, if you want to check that out, then I suggest you do that. So anyways, now we've gone through the second continent out of the way, and now we move on to the next. Well, first off we got ourselves some cutscenes out of the way first, after the loading screens.
Oh. The moment the temple lit up, the beast woke up. It appears he's come back to his senses.
I see. I'll bet your job is to guard the Chaos Emerald Temple. You must have gone berserk when the emeralds lost their power.
Well, I'm glad you're back. Want some chocolate? So long!
Yeah, I apologize about the fact that some of these cutscenes did drop frame rates in this version, but at least I can cope with this, I think.
Your dinner, Doctor.
Thank you. What's the progress on the Dark Gaia-powered Eggman Land construction system?
Current status is 27% complete. Progress is significantly behind projected timetable. Presumed cause of delay is Dark Gaia's dispersion across the globe.
Oh, of all the lazy, here I go to the trouble of waking that Dark Gaia thing up, and it causes me nothing but delays.
Dark Gaia had yet to reach maturity within the planet's core, ergo it was still incomplete at the time of its awakening, ergo it was unable to sustain its own weight upon its release, ergo it scattered around the world.
I don't want to hear about its weight issues. So what if I gave it a bit of a sudden awakening? This is unacceptable.
Ergo, this is the repercussion of your hasty actions.
What was that? I'm having a bad enough day as it is. First that professor runs off with the Gaia manuscripts, and now the planet's coming back together.
That, Doctor, is the result of the power of the Chaos Emeralds, which you discarded along with Sonic. Ergo, another repercussion of your hasty actions.
Quiet, you junkie! That was all part of my plan, part of the big picture. Where's the fun in having my plans succeed without any challenge? Anyway, what's the status of the remaining temples of Gaia?
Eggman forces have currently secured all locations. Defensive preparations are nearly complete.
That'll take care of Sonic for now, which leaves the problem of Dark Gaia. It'd be difficult to collect every piece scattered all across the world.
Searching conventional wisdom banks for topical advice. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Slow and steady wins the race. Nobody likes a whiner.
Isn't there a more efficient way? Some way to, I don't know, gather them all up at once. Wait, that's it, of course! With this, all of my plans will be realized.
So yeah, Eggman was still planning up to the actual premise of the Dark Gaia manuscripts or something like that. But anyways though, we're pretty much done with Chunan until we're able to actually revisiting this particular location again before we get into the daytime level. So as you can tell, my moon medals count is now up to level 4 now, so even then though, I've only got quite a few sun medals left until we reach the level 5 portion of the daytime levels until the future points throughout. But even then, we still got enough as it is, but in forms of not only Chunan Day, but also the next destination we're going to be heading to. So I'm going to have to save things up in the next video, I'm afraid, guys. So join me next time on Let's Play Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360/PlayStation 3. Is that we're returning back to Spigonia and able to do the daytime levels of Spigonia and Chunan eventually. So yeah, see you guys next time. Later, fellas.